And assalamu alaikum, and it's your host, Amy Yasker again, and we're back with the Stani Army verdict. It's been a long time. In fact, since the last T20 against England, we haven't had the Stani Army verdict, but here we are. And good reasons for it as well, because quite a few things have happened in the last week, maybe even 2 weeks, when you look at cricket getting played. We've had a couple of big breaking newses that we'll get through to them in a bit. So yeah, cricket's back on the agenda again, and I've got two guests with me today. I've got Dr. Akbar Chaudhry. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
Samia, all good here. Thank you very much.
And Hamza. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
Yeah, that's Dr. Hamza Ahmed.
well. So I'm going to go to Hamza first. First of all, the first breaking news that we had, and that was around the the Misbah-ul-Haq resignation as chief selector, but he's going to continue as a coach. I thought it sort of caught us a bit by surprise. I thought the timing was a bit surprising as well. But what did you make of it?
Yeah, a little bit out of the blue, because it's not like they've had an intense schedule where, you know, you can make the case it's just too much for him. Maybe they've sort of sat down and had a think about it, and just someone's convinced someone that it's in the long run not the right thing to do. Remember reading the statement from when Misbah a year ago got the role, and they were like, we've created this specifically for Misbah. No one else would have been given this. We're only doing it for Misbah. So you'd like to know a little bit more about the decisions about, okay, so you told us why you did it in the first place when you gave it to him. So you need to tell us why you're taking the selector role away. I mean, they might give a perfectly reasonable answer that, we've tried it and it's been for a year and it's been all right, but Misbah's had a look at it and he's come to us and said, I just want to coach, let's have someone else do the selecting. So yeah, it depends what explanation they give us.
Yeah, we'll look at his performance in a bit, but Doctor, when I said timing, I thought if he had decided he was going to go maybe straight after the England series, and we've had National T20 going on right now, maybe this was the right time to say to whoever's going to come in to have a look at a domestic tournament, to actually go on and pick a team going into the future. I thought the timing was a bit weird.
Yeah, it is a bit of an odd one. I'm a bit annoyed about this because I think we could have seen it coming. A year ago, we say a lot of things in hindsight, and it's easy to kind of say things when it's happened. But I think probably a few of us were saying a year ago that this is quite odd that Misbah's been given the role of coach and selector. The timing, I agree, is not great, because he's still going to be picking the team for Zimbabwe, T20s and ODIs, and I think possibly New Zealand as well. I can't recall whether he's going to be picking the New Zealand tour. So the timing doesn't make any sense. The decision in the first place, it's not hindsight talking here. I think a lot of us thought it didn't make much sense to have a coach who's also the kind of head of the selection committee. There's a reason why it's never been done before, and it's because it's not a very good idea. So just because things haven't been done before, it doesn't mean we have to be the first to make that mistake. I think it probably, in hindsight, it has been a mistake. So yeah, I'm just a bit flummoxed by the whole thing, really. The reason, just to pick up on Hamza's point, they mentioned, I think the reason they've given so far is that the schedule we've got coming up with Zimbabwe, possibly South Africa, possibly New Zealand, possibly England, and then two T20 World Cups, was that it's too much of a packed schedule for Misbah to do both jobs. But we've known the schedule for a while. We knew back in the summer there were going to be two T20 World Cups in 2 years. So I'm not really buying it. I'm not especially happy with the whole thing.
I don't get why it's such a big deal, though, like being a coach and a selector. The football coaches do it all the time. It's sort of similar sort of principle. Like we can sit here in 10 minutes and thrash out roughly a 15-man T20 squad, 15-man ODI squad, 15-man Test squad. And then I guarantee you from today to next year there'll be maybe 2 changes. You know, maybe a new bowler who comes on the scene, a new batsman who comes on the scene. It's not like you're sifting through hundreds of hours of footage of batsmen and bowlers. Oh, there's a cricketer in Gujranwala, you need to go and see Misbah. It doesn't work like that. So I don't really get.
You have a team as
I
well
personally
underneath
I wasn't against the appointment in the first place because I've never got why the coach can't be a selector in cricket, because you're not looking at 500 players. Everyone knows who the best 15, 20 players are in a country, and then there's another 5 or 6 that are competing to get in, and then there's like 2 or 3 emerging players that turn up every year. And then you add the fact that there hasn't been much cricket, and Pakistan never play that much cricket anyway. Without COVID, we don't have the schedule of India or England. We don't play 5 test series, so it's not like he's constantly busy. So I don't get why. I didn't get the big deal when he got it at first, because I don't think it's a big deal being a coach and a selector. And I don't get why he's dropping it now, because you haven't hardly played any games.
Yeah, interesting point. Yeah, because like we could sit here right now, and I'll say 90% of the squad.
Yeah.
So out of the 15,
What's the debate going to be? What's the debate going to be? Who's the keeper? Who's the opener? Who's the third seamer? Yeah. So Naseem and Shaheen openers. Who's the third seamer? Is it Harris or is it Amir? That's a debate.
Yeah.
Who's the keeper? Is it Riz or Rahel?
We're talking about making the squad. I mean, like it's probably out of 15, 13 players. We could probably all 3 of us could agree on.
Yeah.
Just sitting
so
right
so
now.
why is it so difficult to be a selector? I just don't get it. I've never understood it.
I think it goes back to the relationship you have between your coach and a player. I don't know if those players, especially in Pakistan, if the players are comfortable opening up to a coach, knowing that guy is also going to be the guy that, if you're on the fringes of the team and you're struggling, can you have that open relationship with a coach? Can you talk about technical flaws and things like that? If you know that that's the guy that's going to be deciding whether you're in the next kind of squad or not, whereas previously you haven't had that kind of, I guess you want to call it a conflict of interest. I guess maybe you need to have a bit more of a finger on the pulse of domestic cricket. I mean, if he is travelling around with Pakistan, at the same time as there's QEA domestic games going on, or T20 stuff or one-day stuff going on, can he really see everything that's happening back in Pakistan whilst also touring with the national team? I take your point about football. I think it's possibly we've probably got a slightly wider talent pool in Pakistan as a country than you would have, say, in a 25-man first team football squad, something like that.
Yeah,
interesting though.
Yeah, so the thing is, he was using the way they had it set up, the way Wasim Khan described it once. He said the coaches feed into Misbah, so they will tell Misbah out of the opposition who's good, out of their own team who's good. So they're basically like scouts. So if you're Mourinho or something, you've got 15 scouts, one in South America and one in another part, blah blah blah, and they'll feed back to you. There's a similar kind of principle. I mean, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. I've just never really understood the power that selectors have. Or let's have a selection panel. These 12 guys, half of them who are ex-cricketers we've never heard of, the other half are administrators we've never heard of, and they never get the chop. Can you imagine selecting the squad and you never have accountability? Whoever fires the chief selector, it just doesn't work like that. You always go for the coach or the captain. So that's why I've always thought, why do chief selectors exist if your head ain't on the chopping block? When things go kaput, you don't blame the scout, you blame Mourinho. When things go kaput, you blame Misbah. So if I was Misbah, I understand saying I want to be the coach and the selector, but it doesn't happen in cricket. And I've never had a answer as to why.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm less concerned about who the selector is or who the selection committee is. I'm more interested in what their selection criteria is, because I think that's where we're going wrong historically in Pakistan. We select for the wrong reasons as opposed to the wrong people doing the selecting. So whoever gets the job, whether it's Muhammad Wasim, Muhammad Akram, whatever, Rashid Latif, I'm less interested in them as a person. I'm more interested in, why are you selecting X, Y, Z? What are you selecting on? Are you selecting on performance, stats, character, whatever? Are they good tourists? Are they good in the dressing room? And that's where I think probably we might have gone wrong in the past. And you've got to really know your players to do that.
Yeah. The other thing that's worth remembering, that other countries don't have the same problem. Favoritism and nepotism, such a huge problem in Pakistan that does not exist at the same level in other countries. If you have a selection panel of the thing, the old saying, like, you shouldn't spread yourself so thin. If you've got like 8 or 9 people on a selection panel, I guarantee you half of them are just a bunch of nobodies who just want to push their own agendas. So at least with one person, at least there's a level of accountability. And I mean, as much as Misbah makes mistakes, I would trust him a little bit more than, like a Arsal, Shakil Sheikh kind of character, these people who push their nephews and their mates and all that kind of stuff. And that's what used to happen back in the day with selection panels. You have like 8-9 guys, and you know what Pakistan's like. If you've got 8-9 guys, 3 or 4 of them are just not trustworthy. So that's why, I wasn't against Misbah having all that power, because at least you're like, yeah, that's the guy. You want to blame someone, you blame him. So whereas there's no sort of nefarious stuff happening behind the scenes. You know what the media is like in Pakistan. There's a huge lobby for Shoaib Malik. There's a huge lobby for Ahmed Shahzad. There's a huge lobby for Kamran Akmal. This feeds into the cricket setup as well, and administrators get sucked into this as well, and they end up on the selection panel, and they're like, Rizwan's failed in a couple of innings. How about Kamran Akmal? Well, you're like, oh, for God's sakes.
10 minutes.
So,
10 minutes for the first Malik.
No, but this is how it happens. People ask, how do these other characters never get dropped? This is why. There's so many vested interests behind the scene. If you have 10, 15 people running something in Pakistan, half of them are scumbags. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. And the other half are trustworthy to some degree. And it sort of evens out, and you're sort of like one arm tied behind your back.
Just want to make the point, these are the views of Hamza, not the Stani Army as a YouTube channel.
Just me.
Tabreza says, Assalamu alaikum guys, walaikum salam. How would it have preferred if it was the other way around, keeping Misbah's selector role and stepping aside as a coach? That's what I probably would have done, and maybe Yunus Khan as coach. But Doctor, was that the other alternative? But then, like you do say, the coach is going to earn a lot more in the salary, than what a selector is, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not fussed either way, kind of what he does. I mean, like I say, I've made the point. I personally wasn't a fan of him doing both, whether he's doing the selecting or whether he's doing the coaching. I don't think he's probably not been in the job long enough as a coach to kind of judge and say no, he can't be kind of coach anymore. So I'd stick with it. There were some decent signs in that Test series in England. We weren't as bad as maybe we like to remember sometimes. We drew a T20 series. We've got some tough assignments coming up. I'd stick with Misbah for now. I'm happy with him being coach. I don't know about you, Hamza.
No, definitely stick with him. I don't. Who are we going to bring in?
Yeah,
I just don't get who is there. There's no one. Unless you're going to go for another foreign coach or something, then no, just stick with Misbah for now. For the bad decisions he's made, such as his first squad, including Ahmed Shahzad and guys like that, and Umar Akmal, he's made good ones. If you look back at the tour to Australia, that Test squad he picked was a good one. I know we didn't win it. We didn't win it, but he showed that he was forward thinking by picking Musa and Naseem, guys like that. So with him, it's so far been like 1.5 steps forward and then a step back, and just need to get rid of the last bit of deadwood now.
Who would that be?
I don't know. Imi, who's it?
Let's leave it. Let's look at the options. Yeah, we got. I think Muhammad Akram's been spoken to, and Wasim Khan said 2 others. Now, we don't know who the other 2 are. The rumours are that they are Rashid Latif and Amir Sahel.
Oh, God.
I sort of doubt it's Amir Sahel because I know he's very anti Imran Khan.
I thought it was Mohammed Wasim and Bazid Khan. Or was that just some Twitter nonsense?
Bazid is my choice. And Wasim...
No, is he considered? Is he in the mix, do you know?
Sorry, tweeted about them being spoken to, and someone else, I think, like you say on Twitter, there were talks about Mohammed Wasim as well. So there's been a few banded about. I don't know when they're going to make a decision. I have to be honest, Imi, sorry to cut you off, but I honestly don't care who the select. I'm less worried about who the selector is. I want to know what their criteria is for selecting, because that's more important than who the person is. Do they have a vested interest? Have they got a nephew or whatever that's close to the team? Have they got some kind of score to settle? So I don't know if Hamza has anyone in particular in mind that he'd want it to be, but I want to know what are you selecting and why, as opposed to who you are.
Yeah, I mean, thing is, it can't be Misbah-ul-Haq. He's always been a little bit weird. Let's be fair. You know, you sort of put a mic in front of him, and I know I can be a bit weird sometimes, but you put a mic in front of him for 30 seconds, he will say something weird. Where you just sort of raise your eyebrows, and like, where did that come from? So, and he's not coaching. He's not got. I've got this wrong. Has he got any involvement in the domestic setup? I've never heard of him being
No,
involved in a PSL team or anything.
no, he
I don't know
hasn't.
where
No.
that came from. So I think that's just a random. I would be shocked if Misbah-ul-Haq got it. That's just random. Who's the other one? Rashid Latif. Well, he's got his own academy, so he does have some involvement on grassroots cricket in Pakistan. So I can understand that one. In interviews I've seen with him, he doesn't come across as the smartest sort of cookie, I have to say. And you know, the interviews I've seen with him, he's sitting next to Shoaib Akhtar, so that's saying something.
I mean, it needs
I was
to be.
hoping Mohammed Wasim or Bazid Khan, because Bazid Khan simply because he comes across as very smart as a commentator, and he seems to have a knowledge about the domestic cricket setup. Like when you look at like Wazim Akram commentating, you know he's absolutely clueless about what's happening in domestic. He'll just say, you know, this guy's from the north or something like that. The usual sort of cliches. We found him in the street. You know, he sort of comes out with a cliche. Whereas Bazid actually gives you a bit of background. That might just be because he's done a bit of Googling the night before or something. But still, it just shows he's a bit more prepared. So Bazid Khan has been banded around. Mohammed Wasim's been banded around. And Wasim makes sense because he's a domestic coach, isn't he? Is it with a northern team? I can't remember.
Northern
Coach.
top of the table. We're going to
So
discuss
I
that
think
in a bit
maybe
as well.
just not that we know much about what the criteria is, but off the top of my head, I'd prefer someone like Bazid for his knowledge or Mohammed Wasim for his grassroots knowledge.
You're right. It's got to be someone who watches, as much domestic cricket, and someone who's got the appetite to do that. It's not the most attractive thing in the world to watch, two random second 11s play when there's no one there. But obviously, as a selector, you've got to do that because you're looking at the next generation and the next set of players that are going to be in. So that's where someone like Wasim Akram, Shoaib Akhtar, anyone who's too busy or too Hollywood to be watching kind of grassroots cricket in Pakistan, it's a no from me. It's got to be someone who's got the time and the desire to watch, Northern second 11 versus Balochistan under 12s or whatever. So yeah.
And a steady personality. There's nothing wrong with being a bit dour at times. There's too many characters. There's too many Yunus Khans that just throw their toys out of a pram at any little thing.
The issue I think with Buzzard is, and I can't see Buzzard coming through, is because family connections. I think we all know that Majid Khan and Imran they don't really see eye to eye, or they never used to. I don't know what their connections are right now, but if Buzzard comes through, the first thing you'll hear is it's Imran Khan's nephew, and straight away it will be that one of the things that he's only got the job because of that, not because he knows what he's doing. He's someone who, again, he sounds clued up. He talks about domestic cricket, talks about the setup, and he was one of the very few, a couple of years ago, that was commentating at international game and kept speaking about the pitches, how cricket could be improved in domestic cricket, and he kept talking about it. But that was from knowledge of, one, playing domestic cricket, and number two, watching it, seeing, analysing what's actually happening there, the scores and everything, and realising that, well, 1 minute, there's a fix that needed. He's something one that I would love, but I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got, I don't want to keep going on about Wasim Khan's salary because that's such a Pakistani media thing to do. So I'm not going to go down that route. But he's being paid to make tough decisions. And if you think that Bazid Khan's the right man for the job, you've got to have the courage of your conviction to say, don't care what the media say. Whoever we pick, the media are going to pick something else. It'll be something that guy will have done in the mid-90s that was not very good. So just if you think Bazid Khan is the right guy, go with Bazid Khan. That's you're in the position to make those tough decisions. I know you actually mentioned, I think during the show in the summer, did you mention Ramiz Raja just simply because of domestic cricket knowledge?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against Ramiz. I'm all right with Ramiz. A lot of people dislike him because of his commentary's a bit naff, but he's actually got decent knowledge. Actually, if you sort of sit down, and I think he would take that job seriously. There's a lot of people that I don't think would take it seriously. They just sort of see it as a pastime, an easy paycheck. I reckon Ramiz will take that
Ramiz,
job
wasn't he
too.
supposed to be here at the National T20?
Yeah, I think he pulled out
now.
last minute or something.
I think he started. I think a couple of games at the start. I might be wrong. But I'm pretty sure he also had his on his YouTube channel. He's been doing a lot of IPL stuff. So I don't know if he's just too busy with all that. He's not at the tournament, but yeah, I don't know if he's too busy with that or what have you. But I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I haven't heard more of him.
I apologize to all the viewers for that bad language of a word with 3 letters.
What?
Oh, that one. Oh, sorry. Yeah. The domestic competition.
IPL. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Say it again.
Yeah, it's
just edit it out.
So yeah, so there we are. So I think we've all decided on Bazid Khan, but let's see what happens. Mohammad Akram is someone who's been muted. Again, someone who works with Peshawar Zalmi, has been around, speaking to a couple of friends who sort of know him, and seeing some of us who know him very, very well personally, and seeing their tweets around him. It's like he's a very, very you could say he's a strong character, though he's a very humble character. So he's very straightforward, but very nice. But then when a decision needs to be made, a tough decision, he would make it. I don't know. Again, I don't know him well enough. I've seen him as a bowling coach. He's now, I think, the performance director at Peshawar Zalmi, if I'm not wrong. So he's someone that's getting muted around. Any comments on him?
I mean, yeah. Look, he's been a bowling coach. I'm less fussed about how good at coaching he is. Obviously, when you are a selector, it's about how good he is at identifying talent as opposed to how good he is at coaching talent. So if you basically, his job is find 2, 3, 4, 10 guys, give them to the captain and coach and say, right, these guys, if they are coached correctly, and I think this is the point that De Bruyne is making here as well, these guys are your future, or these guys give you the best opportunity of winning. You know, go and win with them, or go and try and win with them. So it's about whoever the best is at identifying talent, which is not easy, because obviously you're not just identifying who's the quickest and who's got the most runs in domestics. It's about who can deal with being a Pakistani cricketer, who's got it, and it's up here. And too often, I don't think we've selected on what's up here, and we've selected on, you mentioned nepotism and favouritism and just runs in domestic cricket, regardless of whether they've got hundreds on flat pitches or taken 5 wickets on green tops, or they've scored a decent runs, but they were dropped 4 times on the way. So it's about also the psychological side of things as well. It's got to be a bit more of a holistic approach. I would want someone who could do that. I don't know if Mohammad Akram has got the tools to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hamza, anything on Mohammad Akram? Or?
Yeah, nothing against him other than something that you mentioned on Twitter, that he is in PSL. He coaches Cameron Akmal and Shoaib Malik. So do you want to risk it?
A bit scary.
There, isn't it?
It's a big risk.
It's we're going to go on to Shoaib Malik in a little while anyhow, in the National T20, because I think any sane country with a chief selector, I think it might just be curtains for him. But this is Pakistan, and it works differently. So I think we've taken what we possibly needed to discuss on that, and we are going to go on to the National T20. So today, all the group stages finished, and now we know Northern, KPK, Sindh, and Southern Punjab are through. Before we discuss anything else, let's just go back an hour. What actually happened there, Doctor? I'm pretty sure you watched that, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I managed to catch it. It was obviously they needed to chase 160 odd in 12 overs to get through, and they did it in, I think, 10.3 or 10.4, and an array of potential Pakistani finishers. Maqsood, Hussain Talat, Khushdil Shah's in the team. He didn't come off today. But obviously, it was mainly Suhaib Maqsood. Played an absolute blinder, raining 6s and 4s, and they did it with a couple overs to spare. And they knocked out Balochistan and Central Punjab in the process. So, yeah, it just shows what you can achieve with a kind of a clear head and a good strategy as well. I was quite impressed with Shan. And it's the obvious answer, wasn't it? You need to chase 160 in 12 overs, promote your hitters. But you can imagine a few Pakistani captains, going out there and scoring a 30 off 20, which does nothing for anyone. So I thought he did quite well, kind of using the hitters at the top, and they made it through to a semi tomorrow. I'm not sure what the configuration of the semis is. Who's playing who tomorrow? Is it 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3? I'm not sure.
I would presume so. I'm going to quickly check that.
Yeah. It was a great run.
As we're discussing that, Shoaib Masood today was he was scintillating. We were just discussing that off air just before Hamza joined us, and we were just saying that Hamza, if he had, there's no doubting about his talent as a batsman, and his wrist work is absolutely fantastic. Just if he had the mental capacity, just what we discussed a little while ago with selection of players, that sometimes our players lack that mental edge. Just if he had that mental capacity, a little bit of mental strength, I mean, he would walk into the team, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but that's what I've liked about Khushdil Shah. His innings, that if you look at his big innings that he's played so far, the way he's built the innings has been quite impressive as well. He's sort of nudged and nurdled as well as sort of smashed the bowling out the park. And Shoaib Masood, a guy that I think a lot of us dismissed, but he's had a good tournament and you can't take that away from him. But, you think of someone like Sahil Khan as well. He had a great tournament. He's been right up there. He's been the best bowler along with Shaheen. And that surprised me because I've kind of dismissed him. But he's shown really good control, got good Yorkers, gets good reverse swing. He's got that slingy action, so it sort of comes back like a javelin thrower. And he's bowled well. And Shoaib Masood, sort of similar, sort of been on the peripheries and suddenly has a really good T20 tournament. I think it's worth picking him for the national team. I wouldn't start with him personally because I wouldn't be sure where to play him because I'd play Khushdil ahead of him. And I want number 4 and 5 to not be a basher. I want 4 and 5 to be more of a nudger and a nerdler. So I don't want Masood there. So I'd have Rizwan and maybe Talat there or something like that, with Hafiz at 3, maybe Haider up there as well somewhere. But yeah, I'd like Masood in the squad actually. He deserves it. If you make the runs and you're the right age, you're not sort of 39-year-old or something, I think it's worth giving him a shot.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at the fixtures, so Northern do play Southern tomorrow. There is 1 against 4. That's the 11 o'clock game, so that's the earlier one. And then in the later game, it will be Sindh versus KPK. So that's the semi-final lineup. Just before we really do look in the National T20, I wanted to just discuss today's game. But just before, at the end of today's game, something happened which touched me quite emotionally. And you guys and most people watching and most Pakistani fans will feel the same. I mean, I'll be surprised if there's a Pakistani fan who's got anything bad to say about the guy. But thank you, Umar Gul. I mean, that was his last game today. That is him done with professional cricket in playing terms. I think he's still got a lot to give here because he could teach our younger bowlers, especially someone like Haris Rauf, so much on how to bowl, how to execute plans, how to get things right. There's 2 moments, and Umar got loads of moments, but there's 2 moments that I would forever sort of remember, and I was at both games. And the first one was Lord's the Oval 2010, 6-4-42. I was sitting virtually behind the bowler's arm, and it was a scintillating spell of bowling. I mean, England had that game won, and then Umar Gul just turned up and he blew him away. And the 2009 T20 World Cup semi-final, was it the second last over? 6 Yorkers, every ball bang on. And it was like, they say you're in nets, and they put a boot there and they say, pretend to hit that. He was doing it in a game. Absolutely fantastic. For me, the greatest ever T20I fast bowler. It just doesn't come anywhere close. First of all, Hamza, Umar Gul.
Yeah, I think a few people will be who are Malinga fans will be sort of challenging us right now, but I think that's a fair debate. You know, who do you have, Gul or Malinga? Malinga probably done it over a longer period, so I'd
I think
probably give
Malinga
it to
overall in T20s maybe wins it, but I think
yeah. Oh no,
international wise,
at his peak, Umar was better than Malinga, definitely. You look back to we talk about 2009, 2007. We got to the final. Obviously, for understandable reasons, we don't really want to talk too much about that. But that was actually a really good tournament for us as well. Other than, and then Gould was really good in that tournament as well. Similar, just firing in those Yorkers, in swinging Yorkers, getting it perfect. And yeah, and obviously everyone remembers the final in '09, but the semi-final against South Africa was just phenomenal. I sort of remember that like it was yesterday. And Gould just getting those Yorkers in, just endless Yorkers. And the thing is, I remember when you could tell he started to lose it a bit, where it was when he couldn't get Yorkers in anymore. There was a period around 2012 or 2013 where he was still an important facet of the team. And I think it was was it a 2020 World Cup in 2013 or something, but there was one of them World Cups, and you're like, yeah, Gould's going to do it. He'll help us. And he couldn't get a Yorker in to save his life, and he was getting hit out of the park, and we were like, oh, he's done. And so for me, yeah, Gould, there's three memories from him. It's the 5-4 against India, the test match that we won in 2004. I think that was like his second test match. And then he got a back injury, but then he came back even better. 2007 World Cup and 2009. They're my major memories of Gould. So yeah, hopefully he'll sort of go off, get his coaching badges. I personally don't like ex-players getting into coaching within like 3 months. It's like, mate, you can't learn to coach in 3 months. Do your badges. So hopefully he'll go away for a year or two and sort of do the rounds as tick all the boxes and sort of come back and start working with the youngsters.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like he was quite emotional, Doctor, a little while ago. I mean, he actually started crying at the end of the game, but that showed how much he cared. Performances are one side, but the way he led our attack, despite so much controversy, pro 2010. And he come out and he led our format, our pace bowling in all three formats for a while. Any words for him?
He was brilliant. No, that attack, as you say, from about 2007 to about 2013, Afridi, Ajmal, and Umar Gul, and especially obviously Gul being the kind of the seamer there. They would help us. We would defend 140, 150 in T20s, kind of no problem at all. The one that I remember that hasn't been mentioned yet is the New Zealand game, the group stage of that 2009 tournament, where he got 5 for 6. A couple of amazing Yorkers in that one, obviously, as is
and the Afridi catch.
And the Afridi catch as well. So no, great memories, and the way he did it. So if you think of Pakistani fast bowler, fake injury, no. Drugs ban, no. Ball tampering, no. Pointless wides and no balls, no. Match fix. So all that stuff. He didn't get involved in any of that stuff, which, to be fair, is a basic thing. We should already.
Personality clashes.
No, exactly. Never any trouble. And you would they say in football, you'd love 11 Umar Guls, wouldn't you? You would just love a team of kind of personalities like Umar Gul. So no, he'll go down as a legend of Pakistani cricket, especially in the limited over stuff. He won't get the recognition. If you go on Crick Info and stuff, and they're doing all their best ever T20 bowlers, and it's 10 Indians and Malinga. That's we know as Pakistan fans how good he was. So absolute legend.
Yeah.
Oh, they're squeezing Glenn Maxwell somewhere. It'll be 9 Indians, Glenn Maxwell, and Malinga.
AB de Villiers as well. Come on.
De Villiers, hell no. No, the Aussies won't let him in.
Yeah.
We've got a few comments. We've got Shaz and Tabriz, another comment, but we're going to come to them because they sort of cover what we're going to talk about next, which is the National T20. We've had we've got to the semi-final stages for tomorrow, and it's been quite interesting. Our approach play seems different. Now, I don't know if this has come from the coaches, the captains, or is this a directive straight from the PCB, say from someone like Wasim Khan or Ihsan Mani, to say, right, when they put these new coaches in, they said, this is the brand of cricket we want to play, because the brand of cricket has completely changed. We're no longer looking at where players are consolidating nerdling around. I mean, they're looking for boundaries virtually every ball. So many times in this tournament, teams have been 2-3 down in the first 3, 4, 5 overs, and they've gone. I think was it yesterday, Southern 15 for 3, and they went on to make that 190 odd or whatever it was.
The game that Hush won for them, they were 30 odd for 7, weren't they, when they came in? That was last week, I think. No, you're right. You're right.
So there's a complete personnel change. A lot of young players coming through as well, and also improve, performing. So youngsters are being given a go. Before we talk about the youngsters, there's a couple of more elder players that probably have not cut it so far. And what Shaz is just saying, some guys. What's your opinion on the wicket-keeping situation? Safri's had a quiet tournament with the bat, and I don't know if he will make a comeback in the team. Hamza, you've got opinions on this one. I mean, I know you're a massive Rizwan fan, and anyone that tweets anything against Rizwan, it looks like you're going to jump out your phone and kill him, but that's a different case.
The thing is, I don't have favourites that are just favourites for the sake of being a favourite. I have favourites because I just think I like them in and around the team, and they'll help us win. Rizwan's the best keeper in the world. I can't think of anyone who's been as clean a keeper as he's been. I cannot remember him bumbling a ball. It's just as simple as that. And his batting, he averages 44, 45 in first-class cricket. That tells you straight away he can bat. Anyone who can average over 40 in any form of the game, you can bat straight away. And then people initially said he can't bat in Test cricket because, I don't know, moving ball or something. And then he sort of done what he did against England. And then people said, well, he can't bat in ODIs. Then he got 2 back-to-back hundreds against Australia like a year or 18 months ago. Then they're saying he can't bat in 2020s, and then he's had a great National T20 Cup. So that's the other thing I like about him. Every little roadblock people put in front of him, he's just smashed it down. And I just don't get why anyone would look elsewhere. You've got these weirdos on Twitter talking about Azam Khan. The guy doesn't keep. So why are they talking about him? It's just an unbelievable. These are the same people. I guarantee you, 1,000,000%. If we had Kumar Sangakkara, they would not play him in the T20s. They'd say, no, he's not good enough. He's an ODI and Test player. Can't play Sangha. You got to play Azam Khan. Look at the sixes he hits. Yeah, there's the old joke about Frankie Boyle. You know the comedian Frankie Boyle. He's got his joke. You put a bunch of keys in front of someone. Shiny, shiny. Look at the shiny, shiny keys. I'm telling you, some fans are like that. A guy comes out, hits a couple of sixes, and they're like, oh my God, mashallah. And you're just like, what's the other guy?
Azam Khan, doctor. There's a lot of people putting me in their team, and I've actually tweeted about it, I think yesterday or today. The issue I've got is they're keeping him all as a wicket keeper.
No,
we've seen him wicket keep.
No, he shouldn't be keep. No, he shouldn't.
I've had this one video on YouTube where he's taking like a diving catch, tweeted to me. So, but it's one. I can make Kamran Akmal look like a genius. I can get 10 of them clips for Kamran Akmal and make him look like a genius. So that does not matter. It's consistency as a keeper. If
they want him to keep at a World Cup. I was having a discussion with a guy the other day, and he goes, "Oh, he's kept in club cricket though." We're talking about a World Cup. It's like these people, they don't value wicket keeping. They think it's like a little sideshow. They don't value the art of wicket keeping. They don't understand.
I think everyone wants a Gilchrist, don't they? So they see someone like Azam Khan, they think, well, Gilchrist sixes, and he was a great, he was a great batsman, high strike rate, and he was a really good wicketkeeper. That's fine. He's also kind of like once in a lifetime. So you have to, and I would much rather my wicketkeeper, didn't concede buys, took the crucial catches behind the wicket. We've got 2-3 spinners playing at any time. Rizwan is brilliant behind the stump. So I think we've got probably 5 or 6 players, like we were mentioning earlier, that are absolute nailed on, or should be, first choice nailed on in our T20 team. Shaheen, Baba, whatever, we'll name a few of them later, I'm sure. For me, Rizwan is one of them. So he is our number 1 keeper by an absolute mile. I like Azam Khan. I think he should be in and around the squad, especially for the Zimbabwe series, but very much as a slogger who might come off 1 in 3, 1 in 4 if there's a space in the team for it, as opposed to, oh, maybe we can fit in an extra batsman if we keep with Azam Khan, because that's going to be a recipe.
The other issue is the fitness. I mean, he has to. Apparently, he has lost weight. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he weighed and what he weighs now, but as a professional cricketer, that's a minimum requirement for me. Anyhow, you've got to be able to have a certain amount of fitness. So that's something else that we need to look at. As a keeper, absolutely no way. As a batsman, fair dues. He has. He's batted well.
Things what you have to remember, a lot of people are forgetting that. Okay, he's better than we thought he'd be. That's still not an international cricketer. Just because he's better than we thought he was a pure nothing. Like he would come in and he'd be like Arsal Sheikh. Do you remember Arsal Sheikh? He was Shakil Sheikh's son, and he used to get matches for Islamabad. And he used to bat at 11 and bowl like 2 overs in a 50-over match. Yeah, so we thought Azam Khan would be like that. Yeah, so we thought, he's basically better than that. That still doesn't mean you're getting into the national team. And secondly, and the other thing is, we've said this before on WhatsApp, nepotism. You know, he skipped through the under 15s, under 19s, didn't play a single first class, didn't play any list A cricket. The PSL is the biggest sporting event Pakistan has ever created, and he somehow gets a bloody PSL contract. And it's just a coincidence that his dad is like the head coach, even though he has never done anything. Okay, if he turns into Zahir Abbas, fine, I will let the nepotism at the core of his selection go. He's not Zahir Abbas. He's just an average cricketer who can hit the ball a little bit better than an average cricketer. Still, he's tainted for me because of the whole Moin Khan thing. But no, he's still not good enough either way. Even if nepotism never happened, he's not good enough.
20 minutes. Hamza's not having him. So let's go 20 minutes, yeah? There is no for Maqsood. Cricketing should be fundamental to selecting players for the national side. From that comes quality. Chalaki, situation awareness is required to win games. Yeah, exactly what we just discussed a little while ago. Okay, so the National T20.
Just before you say one more thing, I was going to say very quickly, a negative for me, the fielding has been absolutely
atrocious
in this tournament. So I think I have to be honest, I haven't watched every single innings of every game. Obviously other stuff to do as well, unfortunately. But a lot of the big scores that we're seeing, if you actually see, and that's what a selector's job is, by the way, to look at these innings, how many times were they dropped on their way to their 70, 80, because the top players at international level aren't going to drop some of these catches. The fielding has been atrocious, and that is system. Every single team I've seen drop so many dollies. I don't know how we improve that, and it's not just all because of bad outfields or they don't want to dive. These are simple catches.
Yeah, just practice. That's on the coaches for me. That's on the coaches for me. I'd hope that Misbah or whoever it is sits down with the coaches and says, "What the hell are you doing with your catching? You do notice that your guys can't catch. What are you going to do about it?" That's where you'd hope that someone has a word with all of the head coaches and says, "All right, fine, but your catching needs to improve. Work on your catching."
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at some of the batting because we've only got 15 minutes to go. Hamza, you gonna be all right? Or
I can hang around for about another 10, 15.
Yeah. So Shoaib Maqsood, 377 runs, and he's batting 175 strike rate. I think today's strike rate probably helped that, but it's one of them, and that's very, very impressive numbers. Imam 375 runs, so he's just behind, and he's striking 145.
He's not near my T20 team. I'm just going to say that. I'll put that out there now. Yeah, I'm not in the T20. I think I might disagree. I know he likes a nerdler, but what do you reckon?
No, I actually wouldn't. I ideally wouldn't pick him, actually. I'd open with Haider and Babar.
He's elevated his game a little bit, and that probably helped us in the ODI format.
Yeah, I was going to say that would help us in the ODIs because it's good that he's making runs.
T20, I think you can only afford one out of him and Babar, and I think it's pretty straightforward which one I'm going to choose for. Third top scorer of the tournament, Abdullah Shafiq, 20-year-old, playing for Central Punjab, and they're actually out today, so we won't see any more of Abdullah Shafiq. So two of the players, Imam and Abdullah, are both out anyhow. And he got 358 runs at 133 strike rate. For a 20-year-old, he has looked very good. Again, he looks like someone who's not the naturalist biggest hitter. So, but at 20, he's going to elevate his game anyhow. But what he does have is wonderful hand-eye coordination, and also, he's a very, very classy stroke player.
So I think was it not Abdullah on day one of the tournament that got 100 off about 50? I think.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yes.
But I guess, like most young players, he's slightly tailed off from there. But it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, still 358 runs is not bad for your first tournament at 20. That actually indicates that. He should have been in the last PSL. He should have been picked in the last PSL. But he will be picked now. That's for sure. Khurram Manzoor, 334 runs. Hushdil Shah, 327. And he's got him at 183. One batting talent that we should not waste. He's only played one international game so far. We need to get Hushdil Shah playing, I guess.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So what's been pleasing about this tournament is, you look at previous tournaments, you get sort of like characters making runs that they're never going to play international cricket. Like Khurram Manzoor made runs, fair play to him, but he's never going to play international cricket. And then you get guys taking wickets where you're just like, you're never going to play international cricket. There's a lot of guys making runs and taking few wickets, although I was a bit disappointed in the quality of fast bowling.
Less so with the bowling, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah. The usual characters did well. Sahil Khan was a surprise. Shaheen did well. Harris did well. I can't say anyone else stood out. Mohammad Amir looked a bit weak. He sort of seemed to.
Well, we're going to look at the bowlers.
Yeah.
Let's look at this one first of all. 297 runs, top scorer 99. Weirdly enough, he actually got criticised for that 99, that he batted too slowly because the team lost by 3 runs. But I'm not sure you could score 99 in a T20 game and still be criticised for that. It's very, very harsh. And he struck it at 132, which shows that he's actually improved his power game as well.
Yeah.
Because he's I think career strike rate's only 120.
Yeah.
So again, it just shows that he's elevated it a little bit higher. Zishan Malik, 289. Other notable ones are Haris Sahel, 288 runs so far. Haider Ali, 276. Haider has played only 8 games. Well. That's Zishan. Babar Azam, only 5 games and 275 runs. Not bad, is it? And Azam Khan, 268 runs.
What was Babar's strike rate? Because that will shut a few people up. What was Babar's strike rate?
153.
Right. So
it's not bad when you're opening, is it?
Averaging 92.
Yeah.
So not bad.
It should be 200.
And there's a certain Shoaib Malik, 177 runs, with a strike rate of 128. I think I was just trying to prove a point that there's a few cricketers out there that have actually outdone him again. It's got to be over now. It's got to be over.
Hopefully. Listen, mate. I remember an article. I've been saying for Shoaib Malik to leave the scene since 2010. And there was an article that if you Google it, you'll find it. It's still up there. I checked it last week. There's an article that George DeBell wrote in 2013 after the Champions Trophy debacle. If you remember the 2013 one, that was when the bowlers were bowling amazing. Mohammad Irfan, Wahab, etc. They were bowling really well. And it was only Jamshed and Misbah who were making runs. And in the top order, we had Hafiz Malik, Cameron Akmal, Imran Farhat. Yeah? Imagine that. Yeah? And Dobell wrote in that in 2013, what exactly is Shoaib Malik still in the team for? And he also talked about Cameron Atmel and Farhat saying that they need to go. But if you think about it, it's 7 years ago the English figured it out. This guy's still been around for 7 years. So hopefully it's done now because there's so many options now. We talk about Jalaki, Tabrez said in the message, Shoaib Maqsood hasn't got that Jalaki. But at least he's young enough. I think he's about 28. So he's still got, you can understand investing in Maqsood to say maybe it's something he can develop into. And he's at least got a big hitting ability. Malik's never had a big hitting ability. And he's never been that good at accumulating as a Naja and Nerdler anyway. So, it's an overall very good tournament for Pakistan. It's given us lots of options, lots of new batsmen. Let's not forget Abdul Wahid Bangalzai. He finished as a top scorer in the second 11 ones, the second 11 2020 tournament, and he got promoted to the Baloch team. Had a couple of innings where I think he only made one score, a couple of early dismissals. His technique, I always look at technique. Does this guy, if someone's got awkward technique, 99 times out of 100, they're not going to make it. So I always like to look at the technique. And you look at Shafiq, you look at Haider, you look at Bangalzai, you look at Ahmed Harris, who made runs today, young batsman. All of their techniques are all pretty solid. They've got a nice base to develop from. And that's what you look for. You don't have to do too much work with them. Like, their head falls over, and you're like, you shouldn't be getting this far into domestic cricket, and your head still, these are things that you sort of work on when you're a schoolboy. So none of them have got these basic problems. They've all got a nice technique, and that's great to see. And then we've got the bashers coming through, Khushdil, Maqsood. Everyone knows I've always loved Hussein Talat, so I'm glad he had a decent tournament where he made some runs. I've always liked him. He's got a lovely technique. And that shot, when he comes down the wicket, and especially to a spin, and he plays that inside-out shot going over mid-wicket, it's just the best. He played a few of them in this, and it's just the best shots of the tournament, was it him playing that inside-out shot to the spinners. So I've always liked him. I'm glad Imam made some runs, which will be good for ODIs, although I still wouldn't pick him for the 2020 team. Big debate about Shajil. He made a few big innings, but loads of flops. Is it worth the risk? I think it's worth taking him to the squad. I'd have him in the squad. I wouldn't start with him. I'd start with Barber and Haider. The only disappointment was the fielding, and no new bowlers have come on the scene. His name, bit of a mixed bag.
I'm going to look at the bowlers.
Mohamed Sami. So the more I see him,
Hamza, you're not a Fakhar Zaman fan?
I am. I do like him, but he's not. He's a bit. I don't know. I know he's got a sort of dodgy technique, and it sort of makes him look worse when he's not making runs. So as long as he's making runs, I'm happy to back him. He did what he did in the Champions Trophy, and he got a double 100 against Zimbabwe. So there's something there. But I think Haider's kind of taken his place for me. And again, it's a debate. Who's the backup opener? He didn't have a bad tournament.
He's got 296 at 137 strike rate, so he's been okay. But let's just quickly look at the bowlers, and this is something that's you just picked up here. That no new bowlers have come on the horizon. Haris Rauf, just top wicket takers for Northern. Haris Rauf's got 17.
Yeah, he had a great tournament,
and the economy of 7.2 is brilliant. Shaheen Shah Afridi 16. With economy of 7.3, one's got averaging 11 and one's averaging 14, pretty decent. Third, Sohail Khan, 15 wickets, and again under 7.5 runs per over. Shadab, 14. He's given that 8, but you expect a spinner to go for a little bit more, especially if all these runs are getting scored. I mean, someone's going to be getting rep, but he's picking up wickets. Next up is Ihsan Adil, Ahmad Butt, Anwar Ali, Wahab Riaz. And you look at them, and the economy rates are very, very high. They're all in the...
Wahab's going at almost 8.6.
Yeah, and Anwar Ali's at 10.
Jesus.
Ahmad Butt's at 9. So
Anwar Ali gets angry if you don't hit him for a 6.
So that's the name he just picked up. I mean, he got that 4 for something the other day, but in 8 games he's only got 10 wickets, and he's got at 9. So the
is that Zafar Goha? How did Zafar Goha do?
I was just looking at him. It looked like he's got 8 wickets.
Didn't spin it very much from what I saw.
3. So he hasn't been able to pick up as many wickets as Shadab, but very similar economy and everything. And obviously his tournament's over right now. It's been an interesting one.
So
As you said, there's no young bowler that's come through, but a bowling attack of Shaheen, Haris Rauf, and
Naseem. Where's Naseem been? Is he injured or something?
Naseem's out injured at the moment. But yeah,
pity.
A bowling attack, yeah, when you can have a Shaheen and a Haris Rauf in there, it's going to be very good. I'm just going to quickly pick up on Mohammad Amir. I don't know. It seems like he's going through the motions now, just running up, bowling. The zip's gone, the fire's gone. I'm not sure if like the self-determination's gone as well, like where he's just saying, you know what, I know it's over.
Maybe he's just bowling within himself. I don't know. I'm hoping he's just bowling within himself.
Feels like he's been bowling for a little while though now, isn't it? I mean, the trouble, I think, the point I was going to pick up on that you made in me is that if you look at kind of the bottom half of our team, 6, 7, 8 probably is something like maybe Rizwan 6, Shadab 7, Imad 8, something like that, or maybe Rizwan will be a little bit higher, Hamza, I think you said. But essentially, 3 seamers would be Haris, Shaheen, and that third seamer for me, that's a bit of a problem kind of position for us because Ahmed almost kind of just sleepwalked into that position. Just reading that comment there.
He hasn't read it himself yet.
So it's who's that third seamer?
I personally would start with, if Naseem's fit, I'd open with Naseem and Shaheen. Harris first change, and the 2 spare bowlers would be Sohail and Amir. That's how I'd go.
No,
Sohail is, I don't know what his age is, but I know he's in his
same age as Wahab, about 35, something like that.
But
you can't. He actually just bowled well. Every time I saw him, every time I saw it, those stats, sometimes stats lie, especially with in Pakistan. Sometimes they lie. His stats don't lie. He's genuinely bowled well, and I'm not his biggest cheerleader. But he has genuinely bowled well, and so I'd pick him for Zimbabwe. I wouldn't start with him. As I said, I've got my 3-man set up: Shaheen, Naseem, Ralph.
I don't think Naseem's going to be available because he's been out of this whole tournament.
Yeah, then for me, Sohail's ahead of Amir because Amir was poor in this tournament. Sohail looked dangerous. He was banging in some swinging Yorkers, bounces, slower balls. He looked like he was thinking about it. Sohail looked like he was thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Shaz, glad you brought up Amir. It looks worrying, can't lie. Yeah, it's something that, I mean, I'm a big Amir fan. And sometimes you look at someone and their body language and it doesn't seem right. But Haris Rauf, I think when you've got 2 bowlers like that, Haris Rauf and Naseem in your Shaheen in your team, if you can get a third quality seamer amongst them, and we've got quality seamers, it's just about getting the right blend in. And then you've got a pace, you've got spin attack of Shadab and Imad. You know what? That will win you games here. If you're scoring 160, 170, more often than not, that's going to win you games. Either way, guys, we're sort of done for the day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Hamza.
Cheers, mate.
And thank you, Doctor, for joining. I think we might do another show at the end of the National T20 and also look at the Zimbabwe squad before the Zimbabwe squad is announced. And just have a little play around to see if we can select a team, that's going to be close enough to what, in the end, what Misbah's going to choose. But just to finish it off, we've got one last comment. I'm not going to discuss it, but what I do know about Amir is when it comes to ICC tournaments, he steps up to the occasion. And that is something that I'm still hoping on to as well. If you look at the 09 World Cup, the T20 World Cup, you look at the Champions Trophy, a world tournament, and the Asia Cup, I think, when he made his return, a world tournament or a big tournament, and you sort of seem to see, and the World Cup last year, sorry, you seem to see a different bowler. But that's that. Yeah, guys, thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for watching. And as we always do at the end, Pakistan!
Zindabad.
Zindabad.